I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. When the Lamb opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. When the Lamb opened the 3rd seal, I heard the living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, "2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and wine." When the Lamb opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and hell followed him. They were given the power over 1/4 of the earth to kill by the sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Revelations chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. Hi, hello, and welcome again everybody to another episode of Natural Juan. This time around we'll be discussing the Horsemen of the Apocalypse from Paizo's Pathfinder RPG First Edition. However, before all that, I'd like to state that this video is dedicated to 4 of my most memorable students, Alan Goldsmith, Jean Lester Cama, Karl de Guzman, and CJ Pangilinan, the 4 Horsemen of Humes and Gas. Anyway, if you'd like to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. Also, here's a quick shout out to Jonathan Green, my patron in Patreon. If you'd also like to support my channel and my activities, please feel free to check out my Patreon page in the description below, or donate through my PayPal account included down there for a quick and easy donation. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get ready to ride out with the dreaded Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Pestilence, war, famine, and death. Names that are all too familiar for most Christians who believe in the apocalypse. If you're a Christian like me who's heard of the quote above, you know that the so-called 4 horsemen will be unleashed near the end of the world when humanity has become too corrupt and requires cleansing. In the world of Golarion, that is, the setting of Paizo's Pathfinder RPG, the Horsemen are actually the 4 Daemon Lords that lord over the plane or dimension of Abaddon, or the neutral evil plane. Anyway, before we continue, I should offer some explanation about the ideas of fiends and evil alignments, especially to those who are unfamiliar with games like Pathfinder or Dungeons & Dragons. Fiend is the term used to refer to all evil spirits in the setting, regardless whether they are demons, devils, daemons, oni, asura, or rakshasas. Even the daemon is actually pronounced as demon, although I prefer to use the former to avoid confusion between the two. I don't really want to get too much into explaining this stuff, although I will eventually make a video clarifying the distinctions between the 3. Long story short, devils are lawful evil, functioning similar to organized criminals. Demons are chaotic evil, meaning they act more like ravenous barbarians, and daemons, being neutral evil, don't care either way and are evil for the sake of being evil. Of course, it actually goes deeper than that, and the truth is, daemons are a nihilistic race of beings, seeking destruction of any and all life by any means necessary. And the 4 horsemen, the 4 lords of the daemon realm of Abaddon, epitomize this hatred for all the denizens of the multiverse. Now, let's go into just what are the Horsemen of the Apocalypse in Pathfinder. First off, The word horseman is just a title to daemons, and any one of them can take it up if they are strong enough to take it for themselves. This can either mean wresting it from the hands of the existing holder of the title, or competing for it with other daemons after the previous holder has been slain. The horsemen of pestilence, war, and famine have changed throughout the ages, going from one title holder to another, but always, their goals have always remained the same: destroy any and all that live. First of the horsemen is Apollyon, the Prince of Plagues, the bearer of the title of Pestilence, and rider of the White Horse. He is the most imposing of all the horsemen, with his muscular body and enormous scythe that brings disease and decay to all. A giant with a ram's skull for a head, Apollyon took to power when his predecessor, Ircinius, vanished without a trace. Some say he was slain by an even more horrible menace, but whatever the case, his court fell upon one another in a bid for power. Apollyon, being the largest and most belligerent of the competitors, won, and none of his rivals have chosen to remain within the court of pestilence. Now Apollyon seeks only to spread sickness throughout the many universes, using cursed items and gifts that have been contaminated by his powers of corruption. While a truly formidable opponent, he generally prefers to utilize deadly plagues to wipe out his enemies, or at least weaken them enough so that the moment he and his forces arrive, they will be too sick to fight effectively. The second horseman is Zuriel, the Angel of Desolation, the bearer of the title of War, and rider of the Red Horse. She, the title of horseman is actually gender neutral, is a very deceitful being, looking at first glance as an angelic figure with a flawless body and skin, but is, in reality, a truly horrendous monster. She often makes good use of her initially angelic appearance to fool kings and leaders into foolish wars over petty reasons, and leads them deeper and deeper into hateful madness, where countless millions are killed, soldiers and civilians alike. Then, when the victors think that they are all that are left, and all their enemies have been brutally slain, be they men, women, old or young, Zuriel reveals her true appearance, that of a woman with bleeding black eyes and shark's teeth, and her plan to kill her so-called allies as well. They are all consumed along with her other victims. No one is sure who she defeated to gain her title of war, but no one in her court now dares to take it from her. The third horseman is Trel the Black, the bearer of the title of Famine and rider of the Black Horse. He is utterly obsessed with the consumption of souls, and pays handsomely to beings able to capture and gift him a large number of souls, be they daemons like him or not. Trel takes on the form of a naked and emaciated man with 3 jackal heads resting on his shoulders. He represents both hunger and overpopulation, and lords over parasites that make their home in the stomachs and intestines of their victims, denying them food and often killing the host with their sheer numbers. However, that is not the only domain he has, as he has also chosen to take up the domain of madness, which is probably associated with how some parasitic worms choose to dwell in the brains of their hosts, driving them to insanity. Alone among all the horsemen, Trel has clear memories of being a mortal man, and in those bygone days, he has reduced an entire world to extinction through vile magic. Notable also is that he has not completely slain his predecessor, the Parasite Queen, and has only devoured her, allowing the being to whisper to his demented mind. Fourth, of course, is Kieran, the boatman of Styx, bearer of the title of Death, and rider of the Pale Horse. He's probably the least violent of the horsemen, but that still doesn't make him any less dangerous. As a matter of fact, he's quite probably the most insidious of the horsemen, as he alone holds the power to take the souls of his victims who die of old age. Due to this, he is a very patient being, and sometimes even goes as far as to humor mortals who catch his fancy. Kieran is also the most long-lived of the 4 horsemen, and is the only one to hold his title of horseman since the beginning. That said, he is also extremely mysterious, and there are those who believe that the skeletal figure on a skiff people see on the river Styx is just an avatar or living puppet, and that the real Kieran is the river Styx itself. There are rumors too of there being a 5th horseman, though all the existing horsemen will probably deny it as just another myth surrounding the daemons of Abaddon. Still, legends persist of the Oino Daemon, or the Bound Prince, the first daemon, and perhaps the first horseman of the apocalypse. What scant information can be found about this is that he is bound in his tower, and that his very essence has spilled into Abaddon itself, with the moon above being formerly one of his eyes. They say that he constantly changes shape, and that the remaining horsemen choose not to slay him, as he often speaks accurate prophecies. And that's it for this episode of Natural Juan and Pathfinder's Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. Also, if you'd like to support my channel and my activities, feel free to become one of my patrons and check out my Patreon information below, along with a PayPal account for quick and easy donations. I'll be seeing you all in the next video.